Hello, everyone. My name is Mercedes Phillips, and I'm a grade 11 student at Campbell Collegiate in Regina and president of the Campbell Business Club. I'm excited to be facilitating today's Pathways to Entrepreneurship session as a part of Take Our Kids to Work Day presented by RBC Future Launch. We'll spend the next 20 minutes talking with 3 amazing entrepreneurs, and after hearing their stories, are opening up to your questions. I would like to begin today by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we call home in Kanata. As we gather today on these lands, we are in solidarity with our Indigenous brothers, sisters, two-spirited peoples, and family to honor and respect the 4 directions, lands, waters, planets, animals, and ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. And as we reflect on the historical and ongoing relationship between Canada's education system and Indigenous peoples, we are highly aware of how much work there needs to do to repair the relationship with Indigenous students, parents, families, and communities. We recognize and acknowledge our responsibilities as settlers on these traditional territories, and as a learning organization working in and with the public education sector, we reaffirm our commitment to improve our own understanding and local Indigenous peoples of their cultures and take concrete actions as identified in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's 2015 report. We recognize that the violation of many treaties by the Government of Canada and the impacts of colonialism, including the legacy of residential schools and the 60s scoop, have resulted in lasting harms, intergenerational trauma, and ongoing injustices in Indigenous peoples. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people who call this nation home. Today, we are thrilled to have with us Jordan Dooley, Lead Outreach Agent and founder of Verthi, and Mark Marsolet Noegabo, founder of Birch Bark Coffee Company, and Sage Lacerte, founder and CEO of Sage Initiative. Welcome. We would love to start by asking you to introduce yourselves and share what inspired you to create your business. Jordan, I'm going to ask you. Thank you.
Hey there, my name's Jordan. I just want to say thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to speak here. I started up a company earlier at the beginning of the year called Verthi, kind of based around the idea of creating sustainably made goods. That's something that I really believe in. I currently work as a park ranger out in British Columbia for BC Parks. And, my whole life I've kind of spent my time outside playing. I find that that's probably the most fun thing in the world. So in an effort to, do better for myself and start this business, but also take into consideration the importance of the world that I love to play in and be in. Verthi is the company that I started, which has an emphasis on sustainability. So thank you so much for the opportunity to have a chat to speak, and I'm looking forward to it. Oh, this is a quick little diagram there of how our sheets are made. So.
The first question is one I will ask to Jordan. Jordan, your love and passion of the natural world has helped shape how you run your business. How does sustainability factor into Verthi?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I was saying, sustainability is huge for me as an individual, and I think it should be huge for people as a business. Growing up, I spent a lot of time outside playing, and I actually went to school to be an adventure tour guide, which is just kind of a professional outdoor play person. And so when I spend so much time out there, whether it's rock climbing or hiking or paddling, you really start to develop an even deeper love for the natural world, the outdoor world, and seeing that and being in that environment all the time, it really just solidifies that you need to do your part to try to protect that and keep it around as long as we can. And so with that in mind, starting this business, that was a huge aspect. So something that Verthi does is we have invested a little bit extra money into a more natural way of creating fabrics. So you can see on the screen here, we use organic bamboo, very easy to grow and low impact material. And we use an organic compound to make our product instead of using heavy chemicals that are damaging to the environment, because like I said, we want to put a little bit more money into things that are sustainable for our future. Our sheets are sent out in a self fabric bag, and we're actually working on, they should be here soon, shipping everything out in compostable shipping packages. So sustainability is huge for Verthi. It's something that will always be huge for Verthi, and I think it should be something that other companies take into consideration heavily into this next century, really.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Now a question for Mark. Birch Bark Coffee Company gives back at every opportunity. Why is it so important to run a cause-driven company? And what are some of those initiatives?
I think it's important to give back. I mean, the whole reason why this business that I created came to be was out of passion. I think that when you, as an entrepreneur, when you create an innovative social enterprise, there's a need to really focus on cause-driven and paying it forward. And I think that was the whole premise of my business model. And it's not so much about corporate anymore as we shift, as our millennials and Generation Z start, evolving in our world. They're our next future people to run our world, and it's important as mentors to be able to show that startups or scaling up businesses such as mine are really trying to shift the way people see business. And it's not about monetary, it's really about changing the world and making it a better place. And I think that businesses that do this have a great opportunity to have social impacts.
Thank you so much, Mark. I would now like to ask a question to Sage. Entrepreneurs often weave themselves and their experiences into their businesses. What experiences, if any, led to the creation and Sage initiative? And how does your business represent who you are as a person?
Thank you for asking that question. I love this question. I always speak my language when I have the opportunity. Hadi, Sage Lacert Sadni. Hello, my name is Sage Lacert. I'm a carrier woman from the Lake Babine Nation, and really, for a lot of us, our business is often an extension of ourselves and a lot of our values. I'm proudly an Indigenous person. I'm proudly a queer person and a feminist, and I love to advance some of those values as much as I can, particularly in my communities. So the way that it's an extension of myself and my experiences have been wrapped into my business. I was raised in the Native Friendship Centers in Canada. If you go into your community, each of you can probably find a Native Friendship Center. That's where I was raised, and I was taught by my matriarchs to care for my community, make sure everyone's fed, make sure everyone is loved, and make sure that we have time to celebrate and to grieve together. So I founded my business. You can see my logo up in the corner is a bear. I am a member of the Bear Clan. In my culture, that means that the bear is really significant to me. And my company's name is actually called Sus Lu, And in my language, sus means bear and lu means mother. So the name of my company is Mother Bear. And that's just an homage to all of my matriarchs who have taught me. And Sage Initiative really is just as me, my name, and as an initiator, as somebody who believes that we can be generative together, and that to call on all of our relatives, whether they're human or non-human. I believe in Mother Earth as being all of our shared first mother, and that we need to take care of her. And we can do that by using our money as medicine and learning to invest in better ways than things, in my opinion, like crude oil in Canada, that we can move away from towards green energy and to really take care of our Mother Earth. So thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak some of those concepts of relationality and community into this circle.
Thank you very much, Sage. Wow, time is really flying. I would like to ask one more question to all of our panelists before we go into student questions. We all know that the future of work is going to demand flexible skills we call the global competencies that include collaboration and creativity. Can you share how collaboration and creativity have come to life in developing your businesses? Let's start with Jordan.
Yeah, I think that that's huge. Collaboration is, it's hard to make something. And it seems a lot of times that it can be so daunting, especially if you want to start a business. Where do you start? Where do you go? Where do you get the information from? Maybe you're not a pro in every section, but we're lucky to live in such a diverse time where we have the opportunity to communicate with people so easily. For example, this panelship, or this panelist here, there's so many smart people out there, so you don't have to be a pro in absolutely everything. There's so many people that would be willing to give you ideas and advice. I'm willing to, everyone on this panel is willing to, and it's just a matter of asking, and it's super important. You have the resources, so definitely do it. Ask those questions.
Maybe we'll move to Mark if you'd like to answer that question as well.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It unpacks a lot. I think as a business, we're ever evolving, and we don't know what's in front of us. And I think quickly adapting is so important, especially in the times we are now, and using platforms such as social media, opportunities like this, speaking as panelists, give us the platforms to be able to share our stories. And I think as was mentioned, you reach out to the people that inspire you, people that are mentors. So I like to use a lot of analogies. It's like ourselves, it's like walking in the snow. We leave footprints behind us. So as leaders in the communities, we have to be able, as business people, we have to be able to leave proper footprints so that the next generations can follow. And I think it's very, very, very important that we leave a legacy that's for our next generations.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is mentorship. I had so many aunties. In my network, we call each other relatives and cousins and uncles and aunties. And I look to my mentors to give me advice the way they would their own niece. I would expect that you would give me advice that, really does carve out that pathway and gives me a roadmap and helps me out, because as a young innovator, it's so important to have that backing behind you. And I'm so grateful for that collaboration, for all of those opportunities for more creativity, and to co-create something entirely new that we would never have been able to make if we just did it on our own. So just echoing, what Mark and Jordan said, we're a lot stronger together.
Thank you all very much for those amazing answers. There have been some great questions coming in throughout the chat, so let's take some time to look over those and read them. If you're attending and you would like to ask some questions, please feel free to type them into the chat. We'll start off with Cole. Cole asks, if all of you could go back and talk to your younger selves, knowing what you would do now, what would you say?
That's a good question. Maybe I'll jump in first. I mean, I'm not that old to begin with, but I think that if I could go back, even just, about a year or so ago, I think that the most important thing would just be to reaffirm that it's possible, that, if you have an idea, you can make it happen. You might need to talk to the right people, and the main thing is got to get the ball rolling. The sooner the better. That would be what I would tell myself a year ago.
Awesome. I love that answer. Agatha asked, how do you come up with an idea that starts your business? Mark can answer that if you'd like.
Yeah. Well, as a First Nations person, as Indigenous people, we're very much visionaries, and I believe in our dreams, and so a lot of the stuff that's happened with my business is through dreaming, and also writing my notes down. I keep a pad of paper, pen or pencil beside me, and I always jot down everything, and that's how a lot of my stuff comes to be. And I reflect back on it, and I incorporate it into my business, and it's proven to do quite well for me. So I'm very proud to say that that's kind of like the way I do things with Birch Bark Coffee Company.
Awesome. For Sage, what is the most rewarding thing about your job as an entrepreneur?
I love that question. I think it's probably being a role model for the folks that maybe do or don't fit into the identity markers that I just mentioned. I really want to see a lot more gendered and racialized representation in the space, and Sage Initiative is a network for women and genderqueer folks. And when I'm able to open the door and to extend a hand as an auntie to some young people, so many people have reached out to me at Sage Initiative on Instagram. Usually they'll DM me and they're like, I haven't seen anyone that looks like me before or has the same identity markers, and you've given me drive to start my own idea, to start working on my own idea. And that gives me a lot of hope as a role model and as an auntie.
Awesome. This question will be directed at Jordan. York Region District School Board asks, what's one piece of advice you've gotten that's helped you or changed the way you wanted to go about forming or starting your business?
Yeah, that's a really great question. What's one great piece? I've gotten a lot of advice so far. Probably one of the best ones for me is to just, it can seem really tough when you start a business. It can seem like, maybe you're not doing the right things. Especially for me, I'm kind of the whole face of Verthy. It's my company, and I doubt myself at times. Is this the right way to do this? Am I spending too much money on this? But I had a mentor tell me, just believe in yourself. When you can reach out to other people and get some feedback, most of my feedback has been positive, so I use that to guide myself through my path. So I'd like to say that I'm trying to keep myself on path because of the feedback that I'm accepting, and also having that belief in myself that, because I do believe in it. I think having sustainably made goods for things that you use every day is super important. And I think just with that philosophy, it's a good one, and I believe in it, and that's really, really helped me to take me where I am so far.
Awesome. This question is for Mark. Nikita asks, what age did each of you realize that you wanted to be a leader and start your own business?
I guess I'm pretty much older. I think as an entrepreneur, you're always striving to better this world, better something. And some of the multiple hats I wear is also in the justice field. So I've set some national standards in the justice field in British Columbia. And so I think at a young age, I've always wanted to help people and be a shift thinker, I call it, like change the way people think. And if I could inspire people to shift the way they think to the better of our world and making it a better place, I think I've always been that way. And as I've gotten older, I've had opportunities to really look at my business and see where I could go with it. And I believed in what I was doing. And I think that's what really matters as a person that wants to make change, is believe in what you're doing, as Jordan was saying, and really don't worry about any barriers that are in front of you. Just look at what the end result is of where you want to be.
I love that answer. Sage, Sebastian asks, do you feel like your business reflects you and your interest and makes it more interesting and successful?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I went to university and I studied gender studies in humanities. I'm not a business student. I didn't take commerce. And I started a business in investment management. So it's an interesting pathway. You don't necessarily always have to follow this really traditionalist pathway that people set forward. A lot of people don't go to business school anymore. I just want to like put that out there into this group and to let you know that if you have an idea and you just really want to pursue that idea, that you don't necessarily have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a particular training. You can actually just find a mentor or maybe even an accelerator that can help you get there. And that's what really helped me. I took the Fireweed Fellowship and I sourced some community members who helped me really find key learnings that I needed. That's just like one piece that I really wanted to speak into this space, is that every pathway looks different and you can just find yours, and that's totally cool.
Awesome. Jordan, Chloe asks, what would all of you say your favorite thing is about owning your company?
Ooh, there's so many nice things that it feels like. I think maybe one of the best things for me is I'm having so much fun with this company. You know, it's my company and I get the opportunity to make all the decisions and watch it grow. And, you know, it's not necessarily the fastest growth, but it's the little accomplishments that you make along the way are just super rewarding. And the fact that, you know, you're reporting to yourself, and making all the decisions, you know, that's huge. It makes you feel really proud when you can take a step back and say, hey, look, like I've created this with help from other people with, you know, their ideas. But at the end of the day, you know, the options are yours. And I feel very proud of what I have created. Even though it's small, it's still very accomplishing feeling.
Awesome. Mark, somebody asked, what is your advice for overcoming fear and failure?
There's no such thing as an entrepreneur having that. You have to persevere. I think as Indigenous people, we're very much about resilience, right? It's staying focused on what you believe in, and I think by doing so, you can really overcome your fears. And as I mentioned earlier, with the roadblocks, let's call them our fears. I never, you know, while they might be there, I focus on where I want to be. And, you know, big goals we have, and with Birch Bark, we want to be on the same playing field as some of the bigger companies. And so there's a lot of perseverance going forward. And if I was to focus too much on my fears, I wouldn't be focusing on bettering people's lives and focusing on the solutions. So I try and push that away and leave that to the side, even though it's there. I stay more on a positive note, and I really focus on inspiring people. But that's not to say that fears aren't there. You just have to look at, there's a saying, hope walks through the fire and faith leaps over it. And every adversity contains a seed of an equal or greater benefit. You focus on that and you just keep shooting forward.
That's a great response. Thank you so much, Mark. And then we'll pose our last question to Sage. Where do you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the next 10 years?
I hope somewhere not in my apartment in a global pandemic, having to work all day on this one particular project. I hope I have several projects going. I hope Sage has achieved our 5 and 10-year goal of building a national network of Indigenous women impact investors. I hope that we've seen beyond these colonial borders and we've been able to expand across Turtle Island and to be able to rejoice with all of our Indigenous relatives and to be able to build that Indigenous economy. That's super important to me. And more importantly, is that we're trying to create a cultural shift here, and that doesn't happen in one day. It happens over time. And in 10 years from now, my 3-year-old niece will be 13, and I'll be able to see how exactly I've been able to have a social impact, even not just on her, and how we've been able to have an environmental impact on our Mother Earth in just 10 years. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that and to meeting my niece when she becomes a little teen, a little tween. I'm so excited. It's really important to me. The relational piece is so important. If there's one thing that y'all should remember from meeting me today, it's that relationality. Go look it up and see what you find.
Thank you so much. Well, that wraps up our time for today. Big thanks to our panelists, Jordan, Mark, and Sage, and a big thanks to all of our students participating and for your great questions. Diversity truly drives innovation, and it is clear that you belong here. We hope that today has inspired you to explore your own pathways to entrepreneurship in your own future. The recording of this session will be available later today on the Learning Partnerships YouTube page, and you'll receive it in an email along with a survey link tomorrow. Don't forget to fill out our anonymous student survey shared by your teachers, parents, or workplace hosts for your chance at winning one of 7 $100 prepaid Visa gift cards. Thanks again, and have a great Take Our Kids to Work day. I'd also like to mention we are going to take a 60-minute break and come back at 12:50 Eastern Standard Time with the session, The Coming Creativity Boom, presented by RBC.